Good morning, everyone. This is the first or the second session for the ongoing A2 batch. You see here session 1, and here you see session 2. I apologize for that. This is actually the session 2 because the session first that we had that was kind of a revision from all the topics that I think are necessary before you move on to A2. So we did that. So from today onwards, from this week, we will start with uh, will talk about topics that you should know or that you should learn in German A2 level. Okay, so today's topic, the main topic today is Reflexive Verben. Uh, just a quick, some few words about Reflexive Verben. They are a type of verbs in German language. You can ignore them if you want. You can try not to learn them, but I think it will be a mistake because they help you express yourself in a much more sophisticated way, is what I think. Also, there are some things which you can only say with Reflexive Verben. Also, many verbs can be made reflexive, so they can be used as it is, and you can convert them to reflexive to say some other things. There is a specific. I mean, there are many examples, but I will give you one example where the same verb can have so many different meanings if it is used as reflexive verbs. In the second topic, we'll talk about how to say what you think, or you can think of it as sometimes you want to say I think, I believe, I guess. So these I call as filler phrases or filler sentences, so you learn how to say them. This the word dog in German, this you already learned in A1 level, but we'll do also a quick revision today as well. We'll talk about relationship between two nouns, how you can say, for example, a laptop of Holger, Holger's brother. How you can say nouns noun or noun of noun, how you can say these things in German language. Then we'll talk about something that I want you to do as a homework. All right. Any questions, please ask. Uh, this is the disclaimer, guys. If you are preparing for an A2 level exam, please do not depend entirely on these sessions because these sessions have been developed are designed to help you get to speaking very quickly. They are not designed to get you past the exam. Of course, they will assist you in help preparing for the exam. For example, I cover most of the grammar topics, so they will help you. But do not depend entirely on this. Don't think that I'll attend these 12 sessions and I'm ready for the exam. You have to do a lot of homework if you are preparing for the exam. Or who knows, you are very smart. These sessions are enough for you, depending on how smart you are. Okay. Let's talk about reflexive verben. Okay. Uh, for some reason on my phone, I only see the first. Okay, Rohini, if you don't mind, can you read all these six phrases, danke and so on?
Yeah, sure. Danke, danke dir, danke schön, vielen Dank, danke sehr, ich bedanke mich.
Okay. Question to you: do they all mean the same thing, or is there some phrase which means something else apart from saying thank you?
Ich bedanke mich.
It means something else?
I think so.
Okay.
I
Uh,
thank myself. But the
eh,
rest all I tell someone else.
okay. Okay. Yeah, you are not wrong. I would have done the same mistake. Mish is like my, but it does not
Oh,
mean ich bedank. I thank myself. But you are not wrong.
okay.
On paper it looks like that. Okay, but one
Okay.
thing is, but very good pronunciation. Keep doing that. So danke, danke dir, danke schön, vielen Dank, danke sehr. They all mean ich bedanke mich. They all mean thank you. You are thanking someone else. Okay, ich bedanke mich does not mean I thank myself. It's just that this is a reflexive verb. We'll talk about
Okay.
this. Just few things. Just tell me, can I use danke schön in an email? Let's say I'm applying for a job, or I'm like, and I write an email to the Ausländerbehörde, and they reply back. Which one will I use? Danke, danke dir, danke schön, vielen Dank, danke sehr. Which one will you use if you want to say thank you?
Vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank, you can see. Danke dir will you use?
In conversations,
In conversations, yes, but only when if you can be informal. You cannot use this. So this, this ich danke dir. This is a short. There is this verb. Let me just write this down. Just when someone is teaching you something, try to think. Try to question. So what are the differences? So danke is just is something like thanks. You can think again. It's not good to translate, but danke is something like thanks. You can use it formal, informal. It's fine. Danke dir is actually a short form of ich danke dir. So there is this verb danken. So the verb is actually jemandem. So dativ dank. So if, let's say, if you want to be formal with someone, instead of dia, what will you say? If you want to be formal, let's say I'm giving you a job and you want to say I thank you. Will you say dia?
See,
No, z will be accusative or nominative. You have to be dative. What is dative of z?
Ihnen.
Ihnen,
Ihnen.
correct. Capital I, Ihnen. Okay, so ich danke Ihnen. Okay, so danke dir is just a short form of, uh, ich danke dir. Okay, so instead of danke dir, you can also say danke Ihnen. But you never say dank. If you're saying danke Ihnen, you go with the entire sentence, ich danke Ihnen. Again, just a short uh, digression from the main topic. Danke schon, it just understand what I'm saying right now. Okay, I may be wrong, but this is my understanding from my experience in living in Germany. Danke schon is not formal, but it is very polite. You know what I'm saying? It's not formal, but it's polite. That means if I'm your friend and if you tell me danke schon, that will I'll think I'll say, why are you being so polite with me? So you can just say danke dir. Danke schon again, it depends on the area where you live. I personally have seen people who are very polite, at least the people I have seen, and they are they are Germans. They will use danke schön because it's very polite, even when they are your friends, very close friends. uh, they will use danke schön. Again, this is my understanding. So what I'm saying, danke schön is not formal, but it's very polite. Okay, vielen dank is just like, thank you very much or many thanks. Danke sehr is just, that also the same thing, something like vielen Dank. Uh, ich bedanke mich. Let's talk about this one. Ich bedanke mich. I personally, whenever I want to thank in a very polite, in a very formal way, in an email, not when I'm talking, in an email, I will go with ich bedanke mich. Let's talk about what this is. Okay. So ich bedanke mich. At the second position, you have the verb. The verb is bedanken. At the first position, you have the subject. Here, this is an object, but you think of this as a pronoun. It's not a pronoun, it's a reflexive pronoun, it's a reflexive pronomen. Okay, and you will have to remember this table. Understand this. This is, you are thinking of this as a pronoun. It's a pronoun, but it's a reflexive pronoun because you have a reflexive verb over here. And we'll talk about what a reflexive verb is, but just understand, when you use a reflexive verb, you will have a reflexive pronoun. And reflexive pronoun is different from a normal pronoun. Okay, so here you check ich, mich, mir, it makes sense. Du, dich, dir, you already know this. But if you look at er, es, sie, here you have sich and sich for all three of them. For wir, uns makes sense. Ihr, euch, it's the same. Sie, sie. Normally you have here, right? You have sie, sie, and you have here ihnen, ihnen. I hope I'm making sense, right? Normally. But that is for normal pronouns. These are reflexive pronouns. So for this, the table changes. Okay? So ich, mich, mir, du, dich, dir. For RSZ, it is sich, sich. For ZZ is also, I mean, it makes sense, right? If it's here Z, sich, sich, then for this Z as well also, it will be sich, sich. For wir, uns, ihr, euch. You will have to remember this table, okay? If you're preparing for an exam, remember this table. Also, uh, yeah. Any questions about this table? Okay, please remember this table. How you can remember this table is think, for LSZ it is Zish, life is easy. For ZZ it's also Zish, life is easy. For Ia, you already know euch, via uns. So where you have to be careful is, for ish, du, via Ia, it's the same, it's the same as the normal pronouns. But only for RSZ and ZZ, you have to be careful. So you are not learning anything new. What I'm saying again, ich, mich, mir, du, dich, dir, you already know. Wir, uns, you know. Ihr, euch, you already know. All you have to do is, only for er as z, forget what you knew before. Now it is sich, sich. Any questions? Tomorrow, if I come to your house at 4 a.m., you should remember this table. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Now, let's again, no one is going to ask you what reflexive verben are in an exam unless and until you want to become a German language teacher, then they may ask you this. But in exam, I don't think anybody is going to ask you. But let's just for completion, reflexive verben are verbs that are used along with reflexive pronomen. So the first, if you like, if you give me a verb and you want to ask me like, is this a reflexive verb or not? I will ask you two questions. Is reflexive pronomen being used along with the verb? And the second question I will ask you is subject and object implying the same person? If I go back, I used ish and then I used mish. Now, Rohini said, uh, right? She said, I thank myself. She was right, the way it is written, but it does not mean I thank myself. Ich bedanke mich is, if you really have to translate, it will be something like I express my gratitude, something like that. Okay, I express my gratitude or I express gratitude. So here mish does not mean what it is. You know what I'm saying? So language is, it's tricky sometimes, right? It means something else, but on paper it is something, but when you speak it's something else. I hope I'm making sense to you. Please ask if I'm confusing you. So here mish does not mean myself. It just means it's just that you are using bedanken, and bedanken happens to be a reflexive verb. And when you use a reflexive verb, you have to use a reflexive pronomen, and that reflexive pronomen should correspond to the same subject. So instead of if I had, okay, let's Rohini, can you please, so you have this table, right? Instead of ish, if I write do, how will the sentence look like? And if I write er as z, how will the sentence looks like? I hope you understand the task, right? Can you do this, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Du bedankst dich. Bedankt sich. Wir bedanken uns. Ihr bedankt euch. Sie bedanken sich.
Uh, I don't know where you live, but like again, this is not like not just a genuine question. So, do they say oik in your city?
Euch, Stuttgart.
But do they say like oik or oish? Because in my city they say oish.
Okay. Maybe euch. I may be wrong.
Okay, please get pronunciation changes. Just yesterday I was outside, and then there were some people from like South Germany, and I could not understand what they were saying. Uh,
Okay.
and but I'm saying, like, normally it is oish, but if they are saying oik in your city, go with that. Okay, the
Okay.
pronunciation may
Okay.
change. Okay, but
Okay.
whatever you said, so I hope everybody was paying attention. So when she used ish, she used mish. When she used tu, she used dish. This is what the second point is saying, that the subject and object imply the same person. So there are two requirements for reflexive verben, verbs that are used along with the reflexive pronomen. And reflexive pronomen is nothing but the one of the object, and the subject and object imply the same person. Now, what is reflexive pronomen? And now the question is, so here I used mish that was in the accusative column. Okay, and when she did the exercises, she also used the accusative column only. But I also have a dative column, right? Now the question is when to use dative column. When do I have to use reflexive pronomen in dative case? Okay, so the question is, when is reflexive pronomen accusative, when is it dative? Okay, it should be is and not isd. So mostly it is accusative. Okay, mostly it is accusative, except when there is another accusative object in the sentence. Okay guys, this is theory. It will make more sense when we look at examples. Okay, so reflexive pronomen is normally accusative, but if there is another object in the sentence, then the reflexive pronomen will become dative. Okay, normally accusative, but when there is another object, then reflexive pronoun will become dative. It's a simple rule to remember. It gets better with practice and with more examples. We'll have a look at them. Any questions? Okay, let's look at this example. Uh, Let me see if I can ask someone else to speak. Sudarshan, do you mind reading these two phrases for me? This one and this one.
Hi, it's Sudeshna.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Apologize. Yeah, these two phrases
Okay. Yeah. Sich waschen ich wasche mich.
and this one.
Ich wasche mir die Haare.
Again, read this. How do you read this?
Die Haare.
Dihara, right? So read the phrase one more time.
Ich wasche mir die Haare.
Ishvasham Dihara. Thank you very much. Okay, you can mute yourself. Okay. So Zishvashan is the verb. Okay, this is not part of the phrase. I should make it clear. Zishvashan is the verb. Okay. Now here I say Ishvashamish. Okay, so Deshna, you can keep yourself unmuted and please help me understand. What do you think I'm saying if I say Ishvashamish?
Um, I'm washing something like that.
No, but here I am. No,
I
no, you cannot. I ish vashamish. What do you think I'm saying? Again, I'm washing something,
so yeah,
but I'm not. I'm not.
I'm
I have
looking
not
at the
given any other
clothes.
object, right? So what do you think I'm washing? Myself.
Mm, just maybe laundry. Like I'm
No,
doing
not
my
laundry.
laundry.
So vashan means to wash, and I'm using it as a reflexive verb. I can just say, it was vashan. But here I'm using vashan as a reflexive verb, zish vashan. Ish vashamish is something like, I clean myself. I know it's difficult
Okay.
English speakers to understand, Germans when they say, ja, ich muss mich waschen. Sometimes, and people talk about this, you'll meet and you'll ask them, what is your plan for the day? They'll say, yeah, heute muss ich mich waschen, because they are going to take shower today and they are saying like, they will clean themselves today. It's not, I know it's difficult for you guys to understand, but that's how people talk sometimes. Ich wasche mich. It means to I clean myself. Now you will ask me, you can mute yourself. Now you will ask me, just on the last slide when she said ich bedanke mich means I thank myself, and I tell no, that's not what it means. Ich bedanke mich simply means I thank, I express gratitude. And here I'm saying ich wasche mich means I clean myself. Now, meaning is, you have to be careful, So here it is difficult to explain, but very easy to understand if you follow my example. Okay. So here ich bedanke mich, uh, you are expressing gratitude. Okay. Or you can think of it as that I express my gratitude. Again, I'm using some examples which may not be 100% true if you Google online. So it may I express my gratitude, or I thank myself. What you have to understand is that the moment you use bedanken, it is a reflexive verb and you have to use reflexive pronomen. Similarly, you can say, so there are two ways to look at this. Ishvasha means, you can say the vasha is just a normal verb. For example, I can say ishvasha dish, I clean you, or ishvasha etwas, ishvasha dentella, I clean the plates, something like that. Okay, detail, not dentella. Ishvasha dentella, right? It will mean something else. Okay, I'm cleaning something. But when you use a reflexive verb, you should think of it as that the action is done on oneself. So the I'm confusing you, but try to understand. It can mean, so vashan is also a normal verb. It's also a reflexive verb. Here I'm using it as a reflexive verb. How do you know it? Because I'm telling you it is being used as a reflexive verb. So it does not mean, again, here it can think it of as that ishvashamish, I clean myself, or you can think it of as I clean, and myself is like, it's like the context. It's not written, but that is something you have to understand now. So vashan, conjugated for ish, it's vasha, and it is the accusative reflexive pronomen. In the second sentence, I'm saying ish vasha mia di hara. Now here it becomes a little bit more clear, So I'm saying Ishvasha Mia Dihara. Now here I'm not saying Mish, I'm saying Mia, because there is one more object, and that object is now accusative, and the reflexive pronomen now has to be dative. This is what we discussed, right? Normally reflexive pronomen is accusative, but when there is another accusative object in the sentence, Then the reflexive pronoun will be dative. So the hair or the hara is now the other object, and that will be accusative. Okay, and reflexive pronoun will be dative. Now here, if you how will you'll think, okay, how do I translate this one? Ish vasham hara. I wash myself the hair. No, it does not. It does not translate. It just means that you are washing hair, and when you say ish vasham hara, it means you are doing the action on yourself. Okay, ish vasham hara. I hope it makes sense. Any questions? Okay, let's talk about, there are, I was talking that, vashan can be used as a normal verb. It can also be used as a reflexive verb, right? So I'm saying vashan can be used as it is, or it can be used also in a reflexive manner. That means there are different kinds of verbs. Okay, that means there are, are there different types of reflexive verbs? Of course, there are three types of reflexive verbs. Type number verb. These verbs are always reflexive. Okay, always. For example, sich bedanken, sich entschuldigen. Okay, these verbs are always reflexive. What does that mean? When you use them, you always have to use reflexive pronomen. Then the second variety is verbs which are sometimes reflexive. Okay, not always, sometimes. For example, waschen, sich waschen, kämen, sich kämen. Okay. Then there are verbs whose, again, there are just two types of verbs: verbs which are always reflexive, and then there are verbs which are sometimes reflexive. I have written this as the third variety, but this should be like, this third variety is actually a sub variety of this part. What do I mean by that? There are some verbs which are sometimes reflexive, sometimes not reflexive. You can use them either ways. Now, question is, does the meaning change? Okay, so does the meaning change drastically or does it not change? So, then there are verbs whose meaning will change completely when used with reflexive pronomen. Okay, anyone wants to tell me the meaning difference between, like, what do you think? Sich beeilen, sich verspäten, sich kämen, jemanden kämen, umziehen, sich umziehen mean? Anyone? Whichever meaning you can tell me, please help me understand, because theory is anybody can teach you. Yeah,
Beeilen means, I think, to be in hurry.
don't say beeilen, say sich beeilen. Okay,
Sich beeilen.
yeah, to be in a hurry
And
or to hurry. Yeah, then sich verspät.
verspäten means delay. I think sich verspäten means to be too delayed or too late, something.
Ich verspäte means, like, I'm getting late. Ich beeile means like I'm in a hurry, or yeah. So then jemand dann kämen. Because kämen mean
Cayman.
to comb. Okay, to
Okay.
comb. Sich kämen is to comb, just like comb oneself. Ich käme mich. Sometimes, like, I don't think guys do it, but like women, like they comb each other's hair, right? So I hope you know what I mean. Yeah. So then umziehen, what do you think this means, Rishabh?
Umziehen means to move, to relocate
To relocate. What do you
someplace.
think
Yeah.
sich umziehen means?
I think if I'm not wrong, it means to change clothes,
To
to
change
put on
clothes, right?
clothes.
See, very good, Rishabh. See, the meaning changed completely, right? So umziehen means to change, to relocate. Sich umziehen means to change clothes. There is no, like, what is the difference? This is what happens, right? Umziehen was a normal verb, and it had a different meaning. Sich umziehen is now reflexive, and now the meaning changed drastically. This is why I think reflexive verbs are important. We'll talk, where you can learn one verb, and if it can be used in a reflexive manner. Okay, then one more verb, right? All you have to do is, because you already know this, this table is not that difficult to remember, right? If you know this, then you can use the same verb. You can learn one verb, and you can learn two different ways to use it, is what I'm trying to say. Now, how should you learn to use reflexive verb? Or when you learn a reflexive verb, how, I hope you are writing, and whenever you are encounter a new verb, you are writing it down. You have a separate book. Okay. So how, uh, let's see, Sivamani, do you feel like telling me how I can read this thing, the one in blue, the second sentence? Okay, no problem. Are you on top?
Ish
Okay, go
act
ahead.
ish act be
No, no, this
J
one. How do you? This is zish, and how? What is this?
acquaset
You know,
acquasative
zish accusative by, and this one.
by JMDM.
It's a short form for yemandam.
Okay.
Okay, few.
Food. Uh, eat eat
This is a
sorry
short
eat
form for etvas.
was okay.
This one.
Acquasative acquasative be Duncan.
Vedanta. Now, I'm not, now I don't think they will ever teach you this in schools, but this is how you will learn in real life because whenever you want to say something, what do? You check in some app, right? In the app, they will tell you how to use this verb. So when you look Google and when when you check in Leo or some other app for Bedanken, this is what will come out. So it means the verb is zish bedanken. Okay, the verb is zish bedanken, and zish will be in accusative format. This is what I'm saying. Zish accusative format by yemandam. So you want to say I thank you. So if I say ich bedanke mich by dia, okay, and that's what yemandam means. Like whatever the person is, that person will be in dative format. Okay, if instead of jmdm it was jmdn, and for nylon, then it would be accusative. Okay, that will be yemandan. Okay, so by yemandam it means when whatever here, to whoever you want to thank, express your gratitude, that should be in dative format. Now if I say ich bedanke mich, of course, by dia, and then I also want to provide a reason, right? For example, if you, let's say if I apply for a job and you reply, you want to uh, invite me to an interview, so I will say ich bedanke mich by ihnen, and I want to say for the reply, right, I will say few for, and it was accusative. So whatever that thing, to, for whatever reason I want to thank you, that should be in accusative format. So few the antwort, few das job angebot, few the einladung. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Sivamani, please read this sentence for me, this example, the one in green.
Ich bedanke mich bei Ihnen für
No, 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 no,
Ihre
no, don't do mistakes. These are two separate words. One more time from the beginning.
one second. Ich bedanke mich bei Ihnen für Ihre email.
So I think, okay, how, read this again. How do you read this word? Please be quick.
Für
Not full, few. Few. Okay.
für
One way to
okay.
think how to read
Okay.
this is, I discussed this last time as well. We'll do it one more time. So you know how do you say this in English?
View
Now replace, how to say it now?
view
Yeah, that's how you say this one. Okay. Yeah. Whenever whenever a word is ending with the alphabet R, you don't have to emphasize it. Okay. Yeah. And how do you read this one? This word?
uh,
Ear.
ear
Ear.
ear
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. Let's look at the, well, guys, we'll talk about the examples. I just want to make sure that you have the basic, syntax. Uh, Now this page may look a little bit uh, messy, but it will make more sense as I talk about it. Okay, don't try to read everything. When, in the last session we discussed that when you're talking with someone, or when everything that I can say, that you can say, that anybody can say in this world in German language, we can only say three kinds of things. Okay, so we can only say three kinds of things. Either I can say a statement, I can say, for example, I am a consultant, or I can ask a yes or no kind. Either I can say a statement, or whenever you talk, either you can give an answer or you give a question. Think about all the conversations you have. Every sentence, either it is a question or it is an answer. Answer is just answer. It's a normal sentence. A question can be of two types: yes or no question, or W word kind of, I'm a consultant. Am I a consultant? What am I? Or what kind of a consultant I am? It's just everything you say, just three categories. The same, and we learned the syntax to say those for normal verbs. For reflexive verb, it's not much different. So for a normal statement, normally you have the normally you know like normally you have verb at the second position and the subject before it, and then you have other things, right? Like that other things I normally denote by ellipsis, three dots. With the reflexive verb, instead of the verb, you have the reflexive verb, and just after the reflexive verb, you will have the reflexive pronomen. So, reflexive verb at the second position. All right, Karthikeyan. Reflexive verb at the second position, subject before it. After the reflexive verb, you have the reflexive pronomen, and then you can have other things, object and so on. Here I have written this ish bedanka mish, dan bedanka ish mish, So anyone wants to tell me why did, ish? So in this first sentence, it was ish bedanka mish, an example. And dan bedanka ish mish, why am I not writing ish over here? Why am I not saying dan ish bedanka mish? Anyone? Rishabh? Rishabh, I hope you have an answer.
Uh, not sure.
Just think. Just
I
reason
think
is.
first means I'm thankful. Second, I'm saying I think then I thank you.
Yeah, it's, for example, let's say I talk you, like let's say there is a job advertisement, and 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 there is a number, and I call you, Rishabh, and towards the end, and I say, yeah, yeah, you answer all my questions, and then you say that, that at the end, like, Rohit, I wish you, schönes Wochenende and so on, and say, yeah, danke, und dann bedanke ich mich, like, you're saying something, and towards the end, but my question is, why is ish not here? The
Because
answer,
subject can be either after reflexive verb or before.
yeah,
No, the verb will be always in the second position. Okay.
yeah, that is fine. But there are three kinds of conjunctions, guys. We discussed this, guys. Please do the revision, okay? Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's dan is a conjunction, and
Dan.
dan is that kind
Yeah,
of. It's the uh, I don't know which variety is it, but it's that one which makes the verb, which takes the position of the subject.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
understood, right? There are
Right,
three
right.
kinds of conjunctions. Conjunctions who have, if instead of dan I had und, if I wanted to say and I thank, and I express gratitude, if I say und, then ich will not be, ich will still be here. Und ich bedanke mich. Okay, guys, please do revision. Okay, not good. This is A2. Okay, let's talk about a yes or no kind of question. If for a statement, if you check subject, reflexive verb, reflexive pronoun, other things, for a yes or no kind of question, all you have to do is just in the beginning you have the reflexive verb, and then the subject and the reflexive verb. All had happened is that the positions of reflexive verb and subject got interchanged. Okay, and you have a question mark, of course. In a W word kind of question, you take the syntax for this one. If you check and just put the W word over here, so W word, reflexive verb, subject, reflexive pronoun, and the other things. Any questions? If no questions, then you check what I have written in here in red. The subject in a statement can be either before or after the reflexive verb. Okay. Here, the reflexive verb is conjugated for the given subject, and the reflexive pronoun must correspond to given subject. If you use ish, it is mish. If you use do, it is dish, and so on. Okay. The same thing is written in green everywhere. Any questions? Please remember the syntax. Okay. The one thing which teachers don't like in exam is you mess up the syntax. In real life, it's fine when you're talking, you say, it's fine. But in exam, they really care about, the sentence structure. I mean, that's what they get paid for, right? To make sure that your sentence structure is correct. Any questions? If no questions, let's look at the syntax for modal verb. Okay. So it's not that difficult. It looks difficult, it's not that difficult, with modal. How, if you think about a sentence with modal verb, right? You have the subject, then you have the modal verb, and then you can have other things, and towards the end you will have the actual verb, right? Again, normal sentence, normal verb, subject, modal verb, other things, and towards the end you have the actual verb. You conjugate the modal verb, you leave the other verb as it is. The same thing is happening over here as well. Normally, if I go back, you had subject, reflexive verb, reflexive pronomen, other things. If I use a modal verb over here, then the modal verb will take the position of the reflexive verb, and the reflexive verb will go towards the end, okay, after dot dot dot, right? If I here in W word kind of question, if I use a modal verb, then the modal verb will take the position of the reflexive verb, okay, and the reflexive verb will go here before the question mark. In a yes or no kind of question, also the same thing. The modal verb will take the position of the reflexive verb, and the reflexive verb will go just before the question mark. I hope I made sense. The same thing, you can check. Subject, modal verb, reflexive pronoun, other things, and the reflexive verb. Yes or no kind of question, modal verb, subject, reflexive pronoun, other things, reflexive verb, question mark. W word, I hope I don't need to explain. Okay. Now understand, when you use a modal verb, you only conjugate the modal verb. Okay, the other verb, the reflexive verb or the main verb, you don't conjugate anymore. Now don't think it's complicated, it's actually making your life easier, because there are only six modal verb in German language. I mean, at least I know six one, right? So whenever you write a modal verb, you should be happy that now you don't have to know conjugation of the other verb, so instead of learning conjugation of every verb that is there in German language, if you learn the modal verbs conjugation, your life becomes easier, okay, because you only conjugate modal verb. Maybe someone can, yeah, here example, right? Ich bedanke mich, right? Subject, reflexive verb, reflexive pronomen. Here, ich muss mich bedanken, subject, modal verb, reflexive pronomen, and the reflexive verb. So, here it was conjugated, it was bedanke. Here it is bedanken because it is not conjugated. Here you have conjugated müssen for ich, so ich muss. Okay, any questions? Again, this all things you have to remember. Instead of, you look, what you can do is I will give you a list of around 40 reflexive verbs. Try to write, you know, for every reflexive verb, write a statement, write a W word, write a yes or no, then write a statement with modal verb. When you do this 60-40 verbs times six sentences, for every verb you write six sentences. That means how much? 4 6 are 240. So if you write 240 sentences, it sounds a lot. So, but it will not. I mean, you will have 3 days to do it. 2 days. So write 240 sentences, and you will remember this syntax. Uh, let's look at the let's look at the some reflexive verbs. Okay, so here I have written a list of 40 reflexive verbs. I would say 36 of them are relevant to my life. The other four maybe not relevant. Uh, Again, some of them may be relevant to you. I will think that at least four will be relevant to each one of you, because I don't know your profession. We all live different lives, we all have different jobs, we all have different people that we interact with. So the language that we speak may be different. I mean the same language, but the verbs that we use. For example, someone who is working in Amazon as a logistic, as an area manager, may need different vocabulary, right? For someone who is working from home all the time and is a data engineer, needs different vocabulary, right? A doctor needs different vocabulary. Different vocabulary means different verbs. So I have compiled some that you can, I think, will be relevant to most of you. Now, Rishabh, please start from point, read the first eight and see if you
Okay,
can give me the meanings and also a statement, like an example.
sure. Okay. So first one is sich Akkusativ. Auf etwas Akkusativ vorbereiten.
Yeah,
For bereiten means to get ready, I guess.
to
Vorbereiten
pre-
means here in this context it means to prepare,
to prepare, right? And
get
one
prepared
just
for something.
example, just Rishabh, 1 second. So when I have highlighted something, that means it is this prefix. I normally highlight prefix. That means it's a separable prefix. That means Again, now I'm making life even more difficult. Here, the uh, the reflexive verb is also separable. And now this is not A1, guys. Now you are mature. It is
Yeah.
A2. So I hope you to learn something on the way. So yeah, here is your example.
Ich bereite mich auf. Ich bereite mich auf Prüfung vor.
Right? Prüfung is the, there, the, das.
I think D.
The, then the statement will be.
Um,
Come
yeah.
on.
So ich bereite mich
Yeah.
auf den Prüfung.
Come on. You just said
Die
it.
Prüfung, sorry.
The,
Die
the,
Prüfung.
yeah.
Die Prüfung vor.
Okay, Resha. When you are
Yeah.
talking to someone, people will not have this much, Let's say if you
Yeah.
work in Germany and I'm your colleague, in the first month, I have patience to listen to your slow and broken German. After 1 month, I will say, just let's talk in English. I can speak good enough English. So try to practice more. Again, I'm
Yeah.
being very rude to you. No one, like, people are really nice, but people like me are rude, so they will not wait for you to complete your statement. Second one, please.
Yeah. Sich Akkusativ umziehen. Means to get change clothes.
Yeah,
So I think it
example.
should be, example should be, ich sehe mich
Okay. Yeah. Then next one.
ansehen. Uh,
Don't say ansehen. Say sich Akkusativ ansehen.
yeah. Sich Akkusativ ansehen.
Yeah.
It means to get dressed.
Come on. How can both things mean the same? Sich Akkusativ ansehen will mean, so umziehen means to change.
Yeah.
Ansehen will mean to put on something. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
to
you,
put
again,
on.
this example, I don't think you will say it unless and until, like, someone close. So, to put on something, sich
Yeah.
Akkusativ, it was ansehen. To put on something, to wear something. Yeah. Next
Yeah.
one.
So, uh, ich sehe an, we can say.
Come on, it's a reflexive verb. You have to use reflexive
Yeah.
pronomen.
Ich sehe mich an.
Yeah, if you say ich ziehe an, it will mean something completely different. Okay,
Okay.
because anziehen means like to attract. Let's say if
Okay.
you let's say if you and I ever go to some place where people of our age are there, and let's say I find someone very attractive, and I am not very good with talking, so I will go and say, du siehst mich an, you attract me. It's a very cheesy line, but I'm saying, this is what means, like the meaning changes completely. Okay, so let's do that
Okay.
exercise. Let's very quickly. Rishabh, you are not doing homework. Okay. CN. What does CN mean, Rishabh?
Uh,
Just CN on its own. There is a door. Normally, whenever you go to a shop, there is a door, and the door, there is written something on one side and exactly opposite on the other side.
to pull.
To
Yeah,
pull.
to pull.
CN means to pull. To pull something. Then you have unseen. What does the unseen means? I just said. Just unseen on its own, not reflexive. Okay, guys?
To
I'm just to
to put
attract.
on clothes.
Nah, I'm not saying this is not reflexive. Just normal verb.
Oh, just unseen. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to attract.
To attract. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. For example, you can also say Magnet zieht Eisen an. Magnet attracts iron. Uh, okay. Will hmm, what we can do is, Rishabh, maybe you can just read all the verbs and don't give me a statement. Give me the mean.
Okay. I can try.
Just read. Don't give any meanings because will not have time. We'll join the other call and we'll go over there. Just read.
Sure.
Or we can do is, okay, wait, we'll end this call and we'll join the next call. Okay, guys. So, guys, this is a free account, so I cannot. Yeah. What I'm saying is that